So, hey, Eric, how's it going? Happy Friday, happy
Hey,
Monday, I should say.
hey, Cory, great to be with you on a Monday. It's great day out here at Wingspread. So,
Fantastic. Well, I'm glad you said that because that's exactly what we want to talk about today. Your beautiful property, Wingspread. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from?
sure, yeah. So, Eric Bates, I'm the general manager out here at Wingspread Retreat and Executive Conference Center. We're a program of the Johnson Foundation. I've been out here for about 4 years. Came from a background of luxury and resort property management within the hotel sector. So, this feels right at home for me.
Fantastic. I've been there once myself. I loved it. I have my own impression of what makes that place so special, but from your perspective, what makes Wingspread so special, by the way?
Sure. Yeah, I'll tell you, the first thing I should say is that Wingspread, it's a unique experience all on its own. And some people ask, what is Wingspread? Well, Wingspread really, it's the whole campus, but it's really built around a home that was built in 1939 for the chairman of SC Johnson Wax at the time. And he commissioned the architect Frank Lloyd Wright to build him a home here in Wind Point, Wisconsin, which is just north of Racine. Mr. Johnson had asked Mr. Wright to build him a corporate headquarters in Racine. And at the same time, Mr. Wright and Mr. Johnson got together to build this home. And what ended up happening was Mr. Wright built one of the most exceptional examples of his prairie-style Usonian design in Wingspread. And basically what that is, in the 1930s, late 1930s, executives were building these huge Victorian homes on these hilltops, right? So we've got this gorgeous piece of land. And instead of building some big, tall, Victorian, Mr. Wright designed Mr. Johnson a low, flat, long home, 14,000 square feet, one of Frank Lloyd Wright's biggest homes. And that kind of seems to grow out of the ground. It's very organic in nature, and it's very, very calming and welcoming. And what Mr. Johnson had done, Mr. Johnson and Mrs. Johnson lived there about 20 years until they decided to downsize a little bit and build another home on the property. And at which point they donated Wingspread to the Johnson Foundation for use as a convening center. Mrs. Johnson always thought the home was perfect for entertaining. And for many years, it suited, actually since 1961, it suited that purpose really, really well.
Fantastic.
So, after they did that, after they donated Wingspread, for 20 years, the Johnsons lived in it. They moved to this house they built next door. Were there until 1978 when they donated that home to the foundation as well. And that had since become our conference center. In the years since, we built a 40-room guest house right here on property. So really the whole 36 acres encompasses 3 unique buildings with absolutely stunning views of nature. So wow. That's where it all came from. That's where it comes from. And that's kind of one of the things that makes Wingspread unique. But I could give you 5 others off the top of my head that make Wingspread so unique. I think unlike any other conference center anywhere. And I think the first starts with that Wingspread building itself, the home itself. It's an inspirational place. Just on its own, it's inspirational. You can't help but be inspired when you walk into that building. It's got this soaring 30-foot tower of glass in the middle of it that's just awe-inspiring, with these huge floor-to-ceiling windows that let all this natural light in from the prairie that surrounds it. So it's really almost calming as soon as you walk into it. It's tranquil. It feels connected to nature. It feels inspiring. It feels very purposeful. And I think our groups get that feeling when they're in that home as well. And actually, Wingspread's the primary tool we use for the change that we encourage to make. And that's the primary tool, is that building and this experience of a calming, tranquil environment that allows you to disconnect from the everyday world and focus on the purpose that brought you here. So, if you have, let's say, 10 to 40 people that you need to bring together for a meeting, this is what we do here. We set out to help design innovative solutions to problems of the day, right? Back in 1961, when we first started doing meetings at Wingspread, those problems were a lot different and the world was a lot different, right? Mm-hmm. In those days, we talked about nuclear disarmament here. We talked about environmental issues, humanitarian issues, international affairs. But since then, the world's gotten a little bit smaller by way of technology, and we can communicate across the globe a lot easier. So these days, the Johnson Foundation and Wingspread, the campus here, focuses more regionally on what we can do here regionally in the tri-state area and in the nation, really, to be bridge builders and change incubators for things that'll make a meaningful difference in the world.
Love that. Fantastic. As someone, a seasoned hospitality as you are, you've got a lot of experience at other venues, other properties. You just painted a beautiful picture. What really sets Wingspread apart from other meeting venues, by the way?
Sure. I could say, right off the top, one of the things is the unique spaces that we have here. So unlike almost any other meeting space I've ever worked in or any other meeting venue I've ever worked in, you'll find no beige walls here. There's no outdated wallpaper. There's no folding walls, partition walls, right? None of that exists here at Wingspread. What we do here and what we have here is a very private facility. It's unshared. Our groups don't share their space with anybody else. In fact, the entire campus isn't shared with anyone else. So it is more residential feeling. A lot of our attendees feel instantly at ease with maybe not even knowing or realizing why. It's this sense of place that kind of puts an almost instant calm on you once you drive through our gates. And there's stunning indoor-outdoor spaces that invite nature in, or they invite your group out. So we do lots of programs outside around fire pits, in our apple orchard, in our perennial garden, on our terraces. So when the weather's great, it's great to be outdoors and get the fresh air. And when the weather's not so great or you don't feel like being outdoors, all of these spaces have lots and lots of natural light that let all of that natural view and environment and feeling and into the room. So
Wonderful.
Unlike any place I've ever worked and unlike any place I've ever been.
Yeah, I would second that. There's a certain sense of feeling. It's hard to put your finger on it. That when you walk, you drive on the property and you walk through the campus and the grounds, you can. There's a sense of something very, very inspiring there.
It does. It sort of settles down around you, and you like I said, you don't even always realize it. But here I am 4 years in, and it still happens to me every time I drive up the driveway. It's just a very calming place to be.
Absolutely. I was enamored by the architecture and the grounds, the lush landscaping, but equally amazing is the team that's there. I met some incredible people when I was there. Dave, obviously the chef. I've had the pleasure of meeting your sales team, yourself. So tell me a little bit about the team. That was equally as impressive as the grounds.
It's one of the things that also sets us apart, and I'm glad you brought it up because what we do here is a tailored experience, and it takes a seasoned team to be able to tailor a program for a client or a planner or a company to the level that we do. So when some meeting places talk about tailoring an experience, they might mean, oh, do you want coffee or tea, or do you want this for lunch or that buffet for lunch, right? Here our tailoring goes a whole lot further. So the whole Wingspread experience is a whole number of things that we do to personalize the meeting for participants. And they recognize that level of special attention. We're an all-conference facility, so we don't do any leisure business at all. Mm-hmm. So each meeting is customized to the agenda of the attendee and to their group. So we have no other motive than to deliver the agenda that you're seeking for your group. And it's your place, it's your home, and we're focused only on you and your ability to have an impactful meeting. That's really unique. There's no other mission that we have other than to make sure your meeting is perfect. And when's the last time you had an entire property staff focused exclusively on your needs? It doesn't happen in today's world. We can't do that in other places, but we can do it here. When we talk about conference attendants are standing by, they're literally standing by, right off to the side, right? So whether the marker dries out, the coffee needs refilling, whatever it is, we're right there. The whole staff is there just for you. So, when we talk about tailoring experiences, but that, you don't need to do your own tailoring. You don't need to do your tailoring alone. We can do that for you, or we can do that with you as the planner. So depending on the comfort level of the planner, we can organize things for you like, how long should the sessions be? What's the most impactful way to set the room up? Square, hollow square, rounds, little pods. That has a difference. It makes a difference on how successful a meeting can be. What are the communication tools? Flip charts, AV, audio, virtual tools. What sorts of tools does your particular team need to make the meeting successful? And then, what's the free time look like? Are you going to give them free time, and when? And we'll tell you about why we think that's super important in a meeting. Are you doing a team building or an icebreaker, excursion activities off the property, or culinary challenges, educational opportunities? We can bring in guest speakers that are customized for you. There's community give back programs that we've done with some of our groups. So literally, and every menu item, of course, every menu item is customized to that group. So literally every component, from what makes the meeting most impactful to what makes the attendees most comfortable, is something that we customize at the planning stage with our team of planners. They've been doing it for over 20 years here, and they're very, very good at that.
That's fantastic. Tell me a little bit about your convening model. I thought that was super interesting, very unique, something totally different. So can you share a little bit more about that with us?
Sure. So the convening model is a series of tools that the Johnson Foundation's developed over the years that help meeting be more impactful. So when we talk about these convening tools, we're talking about some of the things I already mentioned, the free space. Wow, that thing's falling down behind my camera. We talk about the white space, we call it, the free time that we call it, where people need to get together and kind of off script get to know each other. A lot of times we bring a group together and they don't know each other that well, or even when they do, they may only know each other at the office. But when you bring a group together and you give them a little free time, a little white space to be creative or to unwind and relax, they connect with each other on a different level. And we found that to be true. So if you just take a group of folks and take them to a meeting center at some hotel somewhere, you have your little meeting and you have your little break and everybody goes home at the end of the day. But did they really connect? And here we find that they really connect when we deliver the right message with the right tools in the right space. And that those convening tools aren't something that's very common out in the meeting industry, because quite frankly, most places are just interested in the revenue from the meeting. Right. And we aren't interested in that. We're interested in the outcome. Yes. And that's very unique for Wingspread. That's something that, in fact, when we survey our guests after they leave and we survey the attendees for a particular meeting, we're surveying them for the meeting planner. We give that feedback to the planner so that the planner knows, did we achieve our mission? Did we achieve our goals? Did people feel the session timing was appropriate, that the subject matter was good, that they were amply prepared? Did they achieve their results? Are there move forward plans that are going to be successful for them? These are things that we ask each attendee once they leave, so that the planner can be more effective in the next meeting or in the follow-up once they get back to the office. Those are some of the convening tools that are unique to the Johnson Foundation and what we do here at Wingspread.
Love that. And you had me at white space. Not a lot of people get that whole concept, by the way. I'm a former graphic designer. White space is extremely important in design, but I'd never really thought about the whole concept as it transitions into a physical space. I always thought of it as an ad or things that we design. But it completely makes sense that you need to give a little bit of calmness between the elements so that you can take it all in.
Exactly. It gives you a moment to absorb and then decompress, and then absorb a little bit more and then decompress. And if you don't have that sort of space, people go home so overloaded with the information that you gave them that it goes nowhere. I've been to conferences myself where I have lots of ideas while I'm there, but as soon as I get home, those ideas are gone because the day-to-day takes over again. And sometimes this white space allows us to absorb it a little bit more and do some of our own, whether it's introspective and you do some introspective planning on your own, or whether you're getting together with one of your colleagues to plan some next steps. That white space, that unscripted part of the day, is super important, we feel.
God, that's so important. Absolutely. So much to talk about here, Eric. You brought a lot at us here. So if you could summarize it all into a little bite that we can digest. Can you give us a little bit there?
Absolutely. I think, when we talk about what's important to people these days, to our planners, it's efficiency. We have one price package, or one, everything's included in that one price. This complete meeting packages that we do include everything. It makes the planning for the attendee, the budget planning for the attendee or for the planner, very, very easy when they work with us. Seasonal pricing makes finding a budget hole good for you, right? There's some seasons that are more reasonably priced than other seasons are. And it makes getting that meeting into your calendar a little bit more budget friendly if you need to have that consideration. And then the other things that are really important these days are environmental impact items. we're very, very environmentally sensitive out here. And a lot of our attendees feel good about the practices that we bring to the table. But if I had to summarize the whole thing, my elevator speech, so to speak, about Wingspread is, if the meeting's important enough to bring people together to solve a problem or to reconnect or to set a strategy, then you have to do that meeting in the right place with the right environment, using the right tools. And Wingspread's that place.
I love that. Very well said. Hey, I appreciate you spending a few minutes with us, especially on a Monday. I know it's busy, so more to talk about next time. Thank you so much, Eric. Have a great rest of the week.
So very welcome. Thanks, Cory. It's always great to talk to you.
You bet. Take care.
Take care.